Hello everyone, in this video I'll talk about a very common mistake connected with aiming. If you are able to fix this mistake, you'll start playing way better, you'll get more kills and you'll feel way more confident. So let's get into it. So the mistake itself might sound very simple and it might sound like it is something obvious and nobody makes this mistake, but you'll be surprised how many people do this. And the mistake is shooting before you aim. Now, what does that mean? It is not going to be something obvious, because obviously if somebody picks you from powers, you're not going to be like this or something. But if you watch your demos back, you will actually notice a lot of times where you start shooting before your crosshair is on the enemy. And that is such a big deal, because let's say the enemy is right here on this wood, and you aim like this and you start shooting there, somewhere there, and then you go there. And this is a big deal. Why? Because when you don't hit your first bullet, it's way more difficult to continue with the other bullets and hit the enemy. So if you start spraying there, but the enemy is there, it's going to be difficult for you because you already shot your 3 bullets there, and now you aimed at the opponent, so now the spray is going to be in a very weird way where your brain is not going to be able to control it, because how you practice and how you usually play wherever, like on spray maps or on aimbots, is you aim at the bot and then you spray him down. So your brain is trained to kind of spray wherever the first bullet went. And when the first bullet went somewhere and then you aimed after that, it's going to be very weird for you to try and adjust the spray for that. And it's going to be difficult. So you have to focus on first getting your crosshair on the enemy and then shooting. At first, when you try to do this, you might realize that you are panicking, and that's why you are shooting very quickly before you even aimed. And that is something that you have to practice on that much, and you can practice it on aimbots as well. Like, you have to make sure to, while practicing, get your crosshair on the enemy and then shoot. It's going to help you a lot. So when you're playing that much and somebody shoots you from powers, don't instantly start shooting. See where he is, aim at him and then shoot. It's going to be way easier, and you're going to see the more you practice it, the better you become at it, as everything else would be. Another thing that you'll notice when you start doing this is that you're killing people way faster with way less bullets, because when you hit your first bullet, it's so much easier to hit your follow-up bullets as well. Not only because of the spray thing, but because also, let's say if the enemy was moving or something, when you hit the first bullet, they're going to be slowed down and they're going to be much easier to kill. And also when you make sure to aim at them, you might even aim at their head, you might aim close to their head, so it's going to be way easier to hit them in the head, and it's going to be again way faster to kill them. So if you want to know if you are making this mistake, you might think you're not making it, but whatever, let's check. How you check is, there are 2 ways. The first way is to go back and watch some of your demos and see if you started shooting before your crosshair was on the enemy, or you started shooting when your crosshair was close to the enemy but not exactly on him. And the other way is to just go into a game or deathmatch or whatever and just pay attention to how you are shooting. Are you shooting while flicking, or are you shooting when your flick finishes? Because this is what some people do. When they hear somebody ramp, let's say they're playing deathmatch and somebody shoots at them from ramp, they're going to start shooting exactly when they flick, but when you do the big flick, the enemy is not where you did the big flick. Because let's say the enemy is here, you're not going to put your crosshair on him with one motion. This is the mechanics of flicking. First you do the big flick, which is like a big swing of your mouse, and then you micro adjust. So if he was there, you cannot instantly flick there. See, if I don't move my hand after I first flick, because I have this automatic like brain thing where when I flick I auto adjust instantly, but if I just do the first movement, see how inaccurate it is. The first movement, the big swing, is going to be very inaccurate. It's not going to be exactly where I want it to be. So when you shoot while doing the big flick, you're going to not be close to the enemy. So what you have to do is do the big flick, then adjust, and then you start shooting. So that's kind of the basic mechanics of aiming. Big flick, then adjust, and then you start shooting. Remember this, try to remember it when you are practicing. Flick, then adjust, and then shoot. Don't shoot while doing the big flick, don't shoot while adjusting, shoot after you adjust it. And then if the enemy is moving, you have to do tracking as well, which is another aiming mechanic. So you have to track him and spray while tracking him, which might be a bit more difficult, but most of the times when you're in a duo, your enemy is not going to be running around unless they're with a Mark 10 or Tech 9 or whatever, which is a different scenario. So how to practice it is, I mean, I already mentioned it a few times, but what you can do is you can go on deathmatch and then try to, peek. You're just moving around the map, peeking, somebody shoots you in the back, you flick, you do the big swing, and then you adjust, and then you start spraying when you know that you're going to hit him, when your crosshair is on the enemy. Of course, you're not going to be able to do it every time, like you're not going to be perfect, you're not going to have a crosshair exactly on your enemy every time, because if you were able to do that, I don't know, you would get every kill probably, but nobody is able to do that for every single duo they have. Even pro players are not able to hit their first bullet all the time, that's just impossible. So you have to try to hit it as much as you can, but you cannot be perfect at it. So remember that you will not be perfect, and sometimes while adjusting you will die. It will happen, but that's how it is. Like whatever you're doing, sometimes you're going to die, sometimes it's not going to work, sometimes you're going to miss, sometimes things are not going to go as planned. That is completely normal in CS. But you have to try to practice it as much as you can, and the more you practice it, the better you will become. At the beginning you might be bad at it, but the more you practice it, the better you will become, and it will make you play better in the long term. And it's not even that long, like if you practice every day, in 1 week you already start seeing big differences, because it will completely change how you aim, and it's going to make it much easier to get kills. Another way to practice this is on aimbots, so I'm gonna show how you can do it. You can just do this, and then you can remove this as well to make it a little bit easier. So what you're going to do here is basically you're going to strafe, and then let's say you just counter strafe, then you adjust, and then you shoot. So you don't have to put your crosshair on an enemy, you're just going to move around and counter strafe even if you are not on the enemy. So how you should try to do it is, don't move your crosshair, counter strafe, then move your crosshair, then shoot. So you don't move, you do this, this, this. You can do it slowly in the beginning because it's going to be easier to get used to it, but you just counter strafe and then you aim. It's going to be a little bit weird in the beginning, but you're going to get used to it. And make sure to counter strafe, then aim at the bot and then shoot. That's what you have to be doing. There are also other things you can do where you're spinning around and stuff, but you can do that if you're more advanced. So what it would be like is you're holding D and you spin left like this, you swipe a few times, and then you're going to counter strafe. So like this, and then you're going to adjust. So you're almost purposefully going to put your crosshair away from bots, so that it's going to be more difficult, and you're just going to swipe like this, then you're going to counter strafe, and then you're going to aim at the bot. So like this, and then you hold A, you swipe right, and you stop like this, and you are trying to kind of get your crosshair on a place where there are no bots nearby, so that you can actually train this thing where you move your crosshair and then you shoot. So this exercise is going to help you a lot. Focusing on it on that much is going to help you a lot as well. And basically just remember to train it, have it in your mind constantly when you're playing that much, have it in your mind most of the time, at least try to have it in your mind most of the time when you're playing an actual game, like on Faceit, on scrims, on whatever you play. And that's basically how you're going to improve it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to not miss out on any upcoming content. Thank you for watching.